Oh, Donald Trump reigns supreme in nabbing media coverage. But Ted Cruz, he's winning the ground war to become the GOP nominee. Can Cruz outmaneuver the Donald? Let's ask tonight's party panel. Just in time for Monday, it's Kat Timpf from the Greg Gutfeld Show. She's the correspondent there, as well as a National Review reporter. Pete Hegseth also joins me tonight, a Fox News contributor and decorated veteran. Sabrina Schaeffer is here from the Independent Women's Forum. She is the executive director. And you guys are in for quite a treat, because this is going to be a hot discussion. I hope you brought your verbal elements. I will start with you. So tell me, Pete, shouldn't the Trump campaign have read the fine print when it comes to these rules in various states and how delegates are meted out?
Of course, they assumed they were going to bum rush the process with media and money.
Yeah.
That by getting those votes initially, it's going to magically happen. I'm from Minnesota, where we've had a caucus system. I've seen those original caucuses, the county conventions, the district conventions, and then the state convention.
And little Marco, he won your state.
He did, and you know what? If you don't organize on the first day, back on March 1st, you're going to lose today when it actually manifests itself at the convention. This is a slow process with slates where campaigns, if they're organized, can beat the pants off those that are not. Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
And in places like Colorado, they're not just decided on one night or at one event. And it turns out that some of these delegates, they decide amongst themselves at various parties. So Trump and Manafort are screaming, it's so unfair. The process is so unfair. It's kind of a weak response from them. Are you surprised by that?
No, I'm not surprised. It kind of brings me back to the 4th grade when I left a homework assignment the night before, and then guess what? I didn't do very well at it. You have to actually plan ahead, and I don't think they did. But what I don't think I'm surprised by is that I don't think any of it is unscripted. I think all of this feeds right into his playbook of anti-establishment. Washington's not transparent. They're all out to get us. So I think it feeds right into his narrative, but yeah, it's also a little
But it's
sloppy.
not just Washington. It shouldn't be.
No,
I mean, these are individual states and state parties deciding for themselves.
And I am quite confident that last August, when Colorado changed its rules, nobody thought that Trump would still be on the ballot come April. Yeah. So I think that this is all, him trying to get around the story.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I don't think that there was a ton of foresight. You're absolutely right about that. So if you were Donald Trump's handler, if you were his trusted confidant, Kat Timpf, how would you make him feel better today?
I don't know if you could, but I think that it's kind of working, because the whole reason people support Trump is they're saying the establishment's not listening to us and they don't care what we think. And he's very successfully spinning what's happening in Colorado, even though those are the rules, is saying, see, so the people who do support him are going to support him more hardcore because of this. Yeah. This anger is not going to go away. It's going to intensify.
But it may not get him.
It's not about making him feel better, because he's not going to feel better. He's not going to be a mild-mannered little smiley pants. It's about getting as many people as possible to be angry with him.
Okay, but he's about to stumble upon a whole bunch of Statue of Liberty-sized momentum, because all eyes are on New York as the Empire State gears up for a crucial primary that could make or break the candidacies, not just of Donald Trump, but Hillary Clinton as well, because according to the latest Fox News poll, Trump well ahead in his own state, beating his nearest competitor, which happens to be John Kasich, by more than 30 points. He's above that 50% threshold. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton maintains a very healthy lead on her own over Senator Bernie Sanders. It's kind of her home state, if you count carpet bagging as some sort of home. So does New York seal the race, and is it more important than we thought Wisconsin was a week ago?
I don't know if it's more important for Trump, but I actually think it's really interesting for Hillary Clinton, because I think, yes, of course, she's expected to win this. She's ahead over 50%. She won it in 2008. But what's interesting is that this is not about sort of voters, right? The Bernie Sanders support is a momentum. It is a movement. And so it is quite possible that those voters could get together and sort of ride that wave out, and that would be extremely telling and very concerning for the Clinton campaign.
But they've got 8 days to do it. I mean, they've got the Sanders campaign has 8 days to make up 16 points. That's 2 points a day. You don't want to lose that much weight. Can they gain that much momentum in such a short time?
They've had a couple of surprises in this cycle. That's a lot to make up in a short period of time. They're also underperforming in New York City, where he thought he would be doing well. They're actually behind
isn't this a
19 points instead of 16. So
why do they like Hillary?
Good question.
I don't know why anyone likes
Hillary. Inside the minds of Democratic voters. We'll see if she ends up actually being the nominee anyway, for all the reasons we know.
Yeah, I mean, they elected Bill de Blasio. And the fact that he's being possibly investigated by the FBI, that makes Hillary Clinton's case like, see, they investigate everyone.
It's all of us.
It's all of us. See, we're great. Is there anything right about this election?
No. Except since I'm not a member of either party, it's kind of just like, maybe I'll have a home someday, because look at what you guys have done.
So maybe there is room for a third-party candidate. It could be interesting if libertarians could truly organize.
Get off the
That'll make it laugh.
And then stop issuing litmus tests to each other.
Yes, that's true.
But that would mean libertarians would have to stop being libertarians.
Pete, how dare you?
I'm sorry.
Hey, you know what? Take back right now.
Litmus tests. I'm just saying.
No, I know. But it's like you can make fun of your own family, but then when someone...
Yeah, but you're not in the family.
I do love libertarians, but I'm not in the family.
Right.
You can still come over for Christmas.
Okay,
but you have to bring that fig casserole because I really love it.
Okay.
Last word, Sabrina.
Well, look, I mean, I just think that there's going to be still some surprises yet to come. I don't think, like we said, I don't think we knew what was going to happen last August, and I think we have a long way still to November. So.
Oh, God, we do. I mean, it's exhausting to think about. Like, in some ways, it's really fun because there's no shortage of stuff to poke fun at. But then you're like, man, it's only April.
And we get the same cast of characters.
I know, it's true.
It's getting smaller.
But you know what? You know what? I think that they could insert some weirdos.
That's true.
Yeah.
They could borrow some from my family. Speaking of family reunions, coming up, the Boston Globe makes a fake cover page imagining a Trump presidency. I will ask my panelists, what would a Hillary administration page look like? And a little later on, President Obama defending HRC when it comes to her private server woes. But are there some big developments he's conveniently sweeping under the rug? Stay right here. RFTC, where else are you going to hear it? Is Dobbs playing any San Diego punk rock? I don't think so. I would celebrate it. Little Olive Lawn bumping into his show. You go, Lou. This weekend, the Boston Globe released what they call a front page in Trump's America. It was a satire dealing with mass deportations, detailing frightening libel laws and soldiers outright disobeying the president's orders to commit war crimes. Now, it was not the actual front page of the paper, and we've seen enough Twilight Zone episodes to know what a Trump administration would look like. But how about a Hillary Clinton White House? Why don't we ask the party panel and see if we can drum up some ideas? They are back. It's Katherine Timpf, Pete Hegseth, and Sabrina Schaeffer. So, Kat, I will start with you. If the Boston Globe were truly going to be fair and balanced, and they exaggerated what a Trump presidency might look like, what would a Hillary presidency look like on their phony baloney editorial?
Just her being like, I don't know. That's pretty much all she ever says, right? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, see, the thing is, about that is I don't know. And then everybody moves on, which is great, kind of. I might start doing that.
Yeah, but if any other candidate did that.
Right, but I'm also a female, and I feel like I share too much with people openly that I know might make them judge me, rather than just saying, oh, I don't know why someone would have said that. I clearly didn't do that thing. That's gross.
Yeah, and would she also cry sexism, do you think?
Yeah, it would also just be like, she wouldn't even be on the paper because she knows that the more people see of her face, they dislike her more and more. I think that's universal.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's just true.
Oh, boy.
And so, it would be like of the people who have criticized her and how they're sexist. So it would be more like taking other people down, because less Hillary is when you like Hillary more.
That's true. I mean, she was most popular when she went away from Foggy Bottom, and people were like, who? Oh, she's great. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit, because I know people were outraged, like, oh, they're just being mean to Donald Trump because he's a conservative. And I look at that and I was like, no, they probably don't sell any newspapers, and they're trying to be kind of funny and salacious, like putting the Tsarnaev brother on the cover of Rolling Stone, or telling Ted Cruz, like the Daily News did, to take the FU train. Aren't they just trying to sell papers?
100%. Yeah, the Boston Globe, I was going to mention the Daily News as well. They're trying to out-absurd each other, see if they can make the top of the Drudge Report, get a bunch of clicks, and then point to the people that are losing money and saying we're still a viable business. Yeah, that's what they're doing. I think if with a Hillary cover, I think it would be Clinton pardoned self. Bill Clinton internship program off to a rocky start.
Don't you think that Donald secretly loved it?
Yeah, I think so. Of course, more attention the better for him. This is
and it gives him something to rail against.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think like we were saying, people are so tired of this election already. If we can't poke some fun at what's to come, I mean, how are we going to make it through to November? Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing. If Hillary Clinton is the winner, God help us all, but it will be the least fashionable White House that we have seen in many years. I think it'll be like the Friar,
I think that she should wear tuxedos to state dinners, and I think Bill Clinton should wear evening gowns. And let's see if he can really pull it off.
And there will be little girls crying about how they are treated unfairly in schools and how they'll never make it to the White House, even though there's a woman in the White House. It'll be horrible.
Well, I think that, you know, and I've said this before, I think that the Obama presidency has actually been worse for race relations in this country. And I think people had a lot of optimism that this would be a big turning point for us. And I think in many ways we've taken a few steps back. I hope the same thing doesn't happen for women. Sexism and gender disparity.
And on the article, why now? You know, 9 days after April Fool's. That
would have been a good April Fool's thing. That would have been a way better April Fool's thing.
They were sleepy and they forgot. They were like, wait, we can maybe be
the whole month. The month of April.
They could have done it on a Sunday after April Fool's.
Sure.
What am I?
They messed up.
Yeah, they totally messed up the Boston Globe. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Bunch of massholes. Can we say that?
I think you can.
Oh, Pete.
You just did.
You're a veteran, and I salute you and the uniform you...
As a veteran, I can approve that you can say that.
Thank you very much. Quid pro quo. I will take it. I'm going to take more of the panel because they're returning a little later. Experts have come up with a measurement to determine if you're creepy or not. But enough about Tom Shalhoub. Oh, no, he's not creepy. That's right, baby. We're having a little dance party. Today, the Colorado State Legislature reviewed a new law which would allow students in that state to use medical marijuana in public schools. Now, currently, students can use edibles at school as long as the district agrees. So far, no district agrees. And they would be administered by a nurse or a parent. So Gaylord Fokker would give you your gummy bears. Our party panel is back. It's Katherine Timpf, Pete Hegseth, and Sabrina Schaeffer. So let's discuss this a little bit. If they're doling out Percocet and Ritalin and NyQuil, I don't know if they're doling out NyQuil, and God knows what else in public schools to children with parental consent, why not medical marijuana?
Look, I actually think, these are some outlier cases, kids with terrible diseases, things like cerebral palsy. I can't imagine that we can't figure out a way to make sure that these kids are comfortable in school. That being said, and I am a supporter of legalizing marijuana, but I do think that we need to be a little, clearly, we do need to be a little bit sort of, you know, with freedom comes responsibility.
That's right.
And we have children, and I think having edibles is something that we have to actually talk seriously about, and there are better and worse choices that we can make and that we can make for our children. So I do think it's a real conversation.
Well, no, give the kids the weed. I'm serious. No, I used to have to go to lunch every single day to get my little Ritalin in the first grade because I was very, you know, had some behavior problems. And I would lie and say that I was going to get my allergy medicine because I didn't want anyone to know. Now everyone's going to know. But yeah, if I can get my speed, why can't they get their weed?
No, hey, Kat, that's a great point. But
I'm willing to be the face of this movement. Get the sick kids the weed.
One of these cases, you know, the parents were giving the kid medical marijuana in the form of THC oil for some debilitating seizures.
Yes.
I mean, here's a kid with epilepsy, and we saw that case in New Jersey where the little girl had like 300 seizures a day, and the only thing that helped her was a very specific kind of THC oil. You can't do the kind of research required to boil these things down to their most useful parts. So unfortunately, it's still a pretty clumsy business. Are you opposed to sick kids getting well, Pete?
Pete. I'm officially opposed to sick kids getting well. Of course, there's examples where this is going to be useful, but at the end, I just feel like what could go wrong? More drugs in schools is exactly.
So you're pro-seizuring children. You want them to seizure. Great. That's
what about kids with ADD? What about if you have a senior in high school who's got a hamstring tear and has to take 2 Vicodin a day?
No, I think that's fair. I'm not violently anti this. I think there's a way you could administer it, but
the same way as you administer any other drug.
But that's what they're saying. Like, it has to be administered by a parent or a nurse.
They're not just going to have like kids walking around with backpacks full of gummy bears handing them out. There's a difference.
They already do.
They do that on their own time.
Yeah,
they won't change that at all.
The black market is where that kind of illegal, horrible behavior proliferates. All right, well, researchers at Knox College in Illinois have identified the traits, jobs, and hobbies that make people creepy. You ready for it? Yeah. If you're watching the show, you may already be creepy. Love it. The top creepy professions: clowns, taxidermists, sex shop owners, funeral directors, and taxi drivers. Should I finally get rid of that stuffed clown that I killed years ago? I do have the body of a clown in my freezer. So, Kat, clowns, taxidermists, and taxi drivers.
See, well, you've called me creepy twice, like in between the show breaks. But here's the thing: I was once romantically involved with a clown.
Sure.
He wasn't dressed. He was not dressed as a clown.
Were you over age 18?
He was not dressed as a clown. Yes, I was over the age of 18. Okay. It was actually only a few years ago. But you know, he was in clown college. I think taxidermy is really cool. I think when I die, if they could stuff me and like, that would be awesome. So does that mean I'm creepy, or does that mean you guys just don't know how to live?
I think if you have to
I don't think those things are mutually exclusive.
I know how to live.
Let's go. Are we leaving something off the list? Well, are there any professions that...
Well, one thing that stuck out to me was people find tattoos creepy. So I wonder if there's sort of an age differential here, because I see tattoos on pretty much every other person walking around. So I'm kind of wondering, you know, do people 65 and plus think that tattoos are creepy? And people, I also was sort of surprised by the taxi driver thing.
The only
that's creepy.
Okay, but people who are like 60 plus, if you had a tattoo, you were saying something. Because the only people who had tattoos were people in prison and sailors. And that's it.
Popeye.
So it's like you were saying you were hard from the get-go. Pete Hegseth.
All of those professions are creepy if they're occupied by men. And the big difference in the study was men and women, right? So what are the creepy things that men do? They leer at women, or they touch them inappropriately.
So you think female clowns are sexy then?
Sort of.
Like on Halloween, isn't there always a sexy female clown?
I don't know. I don't
you have a red nose and a French maid outfit and some fishnet thigh highs and call it good.
But he called me creepy.
I actually read.
So I just transcend gender with my incredible creepy vibe.
That's true equality. That's what Hillary Clinton is fighting for, Dad.
Equal opportunity. Yes, exactly. Equal opportunity creepiness. But I actually wondered for a minute if, like, some of the women's group, my progressive counterparts, actually initiated this study, because who else would come up with something where 95% of the people being labeled here are men?
Why am I such a...
It was sort of kind of, I know it was a little
just because you like to touch people and stare at them, and especially when they're not looking at you.
So now my kid has
leering is a lost art. I agree with you there.
It is. I was watching the early part of the show.
Leering.
If it weren't for leering, I would get so little action. So I celebrate the leerers. All right, you guys, thank you so much. This has been a glorious day and a nighttime full of reckoning. So Sabrina, Pete, and Kat, my heart is full. My seat is warm. Coming up, Charlie LaDuff tracks down and befriends a Trump supporter with some big surprises about working class Republicans along the way on his trip to upstate New York. Stay here.